my name is Chloe, and today is my birthday. So I saw Rainy from Rainy Day Reads do this tag on her birthday, and I thought it would be just the perfect time. I loved seeing her answer, so I thought I'd give you mine. So the tag I'm going to be doing today is the We Ain't Getting Any Younger tag. And like I said, I saw it on Rainy from Rainy Day Reads channel, so I will link hers below as well as the original creator. And let's just go ahead and jump into the questions. So the first one is, while it's proven too many birthdays can kill you, the amount of cake we eat is still under debate. Name the most recent book that gave you a book or a sugar book high. And so I'm going to say Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. That one was just so good, so emotional. Same with Eleanor and Gray by Brittany C. Cherry. Just those ones really got me in the feels. Bright Side of Disaster by Catherine Sinner. It was her debut novel, and I knew that I really liked Catherine Sinner, but this one was very relatable. It was about a woman who is pregnant and that kind of stuff. So I loved seeing that, and I just was so impressed with her debut novel. It was relatable. It was great. It was a quick read. So those three books have left me like, how can anything be better? So question 2 is, sometimes we get older and wider instead of older and wiser. Name the longest book you've ever read. So for me, this book is the Bible. My husband and I, the year we were engaged, I think, we decided to start on Valentine's Day and go Valentine's Day to Valentine's Day. We read the Bible in a 365-day thing. So yeah, we did that. It was really funny because we were not living together yet because we weren't married or anything, and so a lot of our readings, we would like literally read it together, and some of them had to be on the phone, and we would like take turns reading out loud. And that year I got laryngitis twice, and it was like the most conveniently timed laryngitis ever. I remember I got it, I can't remember which books I got it during, but the ones were so hard to pronounce everything, and so I couldn't read, and it was just really funny. But so definitely the Bible is the longest book I've ever read. And question 3, the best part about pictures is that they're always a younger version of you. Name a book that you enjoyed more the first time you read it than the second time. Now this one, I'm not a huge rereader, and the ones that I do reread, I love. Like After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I have read that, and every single time I love it. Quite a few Taylor Jenkins Reids actually I've reread and just love every time. But so what I'm going to say is ones that I'm scared to reread because I think they won't be as good the second time. So the Shopaholic series by Sophie Kinsella, and really any Sophie Kinsella, I feel like those are very cute. And specifically the Shopaholic series, I know that the main character is a little problematic, a little annoying, definitely doesn't learn from her mistakes very quickly. And I read those when I was early 20s, I think. And so at the time it was fine, but I think now I would be like, girlfriend, figure it out. Like, come on, stop it. But I have the whole series, and I have only read like the first couple of them. So it is a goal to reread that series. Also, the Cedar Cove series by Debbie McComber. I marathoned that whole series, again, probably in my early 20s, and loved it. But now I have learned about myself that I just don't think I like series that are all set around like the same town with different characters. I don't know why. I just have been struggling lately with those. So I think if I were to reread those, I wouldn't like them as much. And when I read them, I just loved being in Cedar Cove for the amount of time. My sister got married when she was young and moved to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. And for some reason, I think Cedar Cove kind of reminded me of Lake Geneva. And I read those right around the time, I don't know if she was still living there or not, but it just very much gave me that feeling. And I loved it. And now I don't know that I'd feel the same. Question 4. As we get older, you must learn to never skip a bathroom break before jumping in a car ride. Amen. Name a book that you read in a very few sittings. Now, this one, it was so hard for me to pick because I don't remember exactly, there's so many books that I want to read in very few sittings, but my life right now, it's very impractical just because I have a 2-year-old, and so it's just, I'm constantly being pulled other places. But thrillers are books that I read very compulsively. Like, if it's a good thriller, I just have such a hard time putting it down. and I've got to know what's going on. So some examples of those, Behind Closed Doors, Her Pretty Face, The Other Mrs. Miller, Women in the Window. Those are all ones that I've read in the past year or two that I have read very quickly. Now, some of those were like book club things, and upon talking about them a little more, they're not quite as great, but they kept the pages turning really, really quickly. Other books that I love for reading quickly are short chapter books. So recently I read The One, by John Mars, One Breath Away by Heather Guggenkoff, anything by James Patterson. I used to read him more than I do now, but I remember reading those so quick. Also, Babysitter's Club books. I have picked up some of those. I read those all as a kid, and then now I have reread some of them, and those are great for just reading in a day, really quick, really nostalgic, awesome reads. Question 5. Don't let old age get you down, because it's harder to get you back up these days. Name a book you had to put down and why. So I think what I'm going to say for this is Homegoing by Yagasi. I tried to read that for the Backlist Readathon, and I had to put it down. The font in the book, that like in the physical copy that I had, it was very dense writing, and I just couldn't get into it at all. So I put it down. Actually, I unhauled it because I think it's better. Like, I know so many people love that. I know somebody will enjoy it more than I did. I just couldn't get into this writing, and I had to set it down. So, next, question 6. Age isn't how long you've been alive, it's how many lives you've lived. What book genres have you been wanting to try outside of your comfort zone? So, for me, I read a pretty wide diverse amount of things. There's really not a genre I won't read. I would like to get more into dystopian. I wouldn't mind trying some darker either thrillers or romance. I'm pretty squeamish about like dark thrillers. I don't like to see too much gore, and especially I do most of my reading at night, so I don't like those being the last thoughts in my head. I don't like horror. I have not tried any Karen Slaughter's because I'm scared of her, and so if you have a good Karen Slaughter recommendation that is like an intro to Karen Slaughter that won't be so dark, I would love to hear what your recommendation is. And then also, if you've seen lately, I've done the Light versus Dark readathon. I'm a very light romance reader. I like things that aren't too dark, I guess, for lack of a better word. But I wouldn't mind reading some more taboo romance slightly, like, again, kind of an intro to it. I don't want to get too far in there, but I wouldn't mind reading more of that. Historical fiction is also another genre that I typically say I don't care for, but it's not that I don't care for it. It's just very, very hit and miss for me. So I would like to get more into that. I know my sister reads a fair amount. I've got quite a few friends here on BookTube that love historical romance. I know it's a great genre, and I'm just picking up ones that are kind of misses for me. So I would like to get more into that genre. Next is question 7. Life gets worse the older you get. Luckily, you don't have much left. Name a book that slowly turned sour for you, but you finished anyway. Were you glad you stuck it out? So that question is really just like a bummer. But so a book that started good, ended sour. I'm going to say Water for Elephants by Sarah Grubin, I think. And I read that one while I was in Houston with my mother. She was getting cancer treatments at MD Anderson, and books for all of us, I think, were just like a lifesaver during that time. They've got a fantastic library down there that you can, it's like a little free library, but it's like whole room. And so you take a book, take a book, get a book, whatever, bring a book back. And so I read Water for Elephants, and I had heard so many good things about it. And it started interesting. It's about a circus, and I was very intrigued to know, but that book just went downhill for me. It was too much. I think it was just too dark for the time. It was a lot about how, like, just dirty and dirty in multiple ways the circus life was and is. And there was a lot of different things that, like, animal cruelty and things I just didn't love about that book. And maybe it was the setting of where I was trying to read it, but I finished it, but I was not enjoying it most of the time. So by the end, I was ready to be done. Question 8. Peer pressure seems to decrease as you get older. Where did all your friends go? Name a book that you checked out because of peer pressure. Were you happy you read it? So, I think peer pressure decreases just because you realize you don't have to please other people. I don't know. I am still very easily influenced, but for this question, I'm going to say a ton. I have been influenced in many ways. I love doing book clubs because they push me out of my comfort zone, and they also just encourage me to pick up things that I wouldn't necessarily pick up. And so I love doing that. I love BookTube because, again, I will read things because of the hype that I wouldn't necessarily pick up. So sometimes it works out for me, sometimes it doesn't. So some that did not work out for me: The Martian by Andy Weir. Totally an unpopular opinion, I know. I read it, and yes, Mark Watney, the main character, is funny, and if you're going to be trapped in that situation with somebody, he was a good character to be trapped with, but I just found it was way overly scientific for me. I had to like kind of skim read stuff because it was like blah 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 blah. Like I wanted more character, less science, which is my problem, not the books. Let's see, Beartown by Frederick Bachman. I picked this one up solely because of the hype, because I had read A Man Called Uva. I liked it, didn't love the writing style. I had read, I think Britt Marie was here, and again, didn't love it. And so I picked up Beartown because I thought, I live in a town where sports are life, and we have a college in our town, and it's like the whole town shuts down on game day. I am from a family that has a bunch of brothers. I played sports. Like, I love sports, and I get the philosophy around this, that the whole town is invested in this high school team. So I thought, if I'm going to relate to one, it's going to be this one. And I just didn't like it. It spent so long in the beginning getting to know the whole community, and the point was to set up the community and get you attached and get you involved, but I just was like, blah, 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 blah. So Beartown was not for me. And then The Two Lives of Lydia Bird, I just read that recently because of the hype, and I buddy read that with Sarah from Steeped in Books, and it was just, for me, it was too much of an unhealthy grieving process. I didn't like it. It wasn't sliding doors. It was like a fantasy that she was living. So the fact that it wasn't real kept me detached, and I just didn't love that one. So, but now on the upside, ones that did work out for me. Waiting for Tom Hanks by Carrie Winfrey. Again, I read this with Sarah from Steeped in Books, and we both loved it. I know that's also kind of an unpopular opinion, but I love Tom Hanks. I love Nora Ephron movies. This book, for me, I don't know if I would have picked it up without the buddy read and the hype and stuff, but I loved it. In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. Also just so hyped. I wanted to know what it was about, and I really liked it. On the Island by Tracy Garvis Graves. I picked this up years and years ago, but if you have seen my video where I zoom in with the fam with my sister, this is her favorite book, and so I read that, I think, because of her and the hype there. Like, she just insists on it, like, being the best, and so I read it, loved it. And then Eleanor and Gray by Brittany C. Cherry. I read this one for some readathon recently. I can't remember which one, maybe the Backlist readathon. And so many people had recommended it and hyped it up, and I read it and loved it. So sometimes the peer pressure works, sometimes it doesn't. And yeah, I will probably continue to be peer pressured because that's what I like. That's why I'm on BookTube, is to be peer pressured, I guess. Question 9 is, friends don't let friends get older alone. Tag people. And I'm not going to tag anybody just because I don't know who's done this, who hasn't. Again, it's kind of a fun thing to do around a birthday. So if you are watching this and you have a birthday coming up, or have recently had a birthday, or if you just want to do it, please do it, because this is a really fun tag, and I really enjoy watching Rainey's and some of the others. So also, if you have read any of these books, let me know. I know I gave some controversial opinions in this video, so if you agree or disagree, please let me know. I would love to hear both sides. And that's it. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.